And hello, everyone. I'm Val Evans, and you're watching Astrology and Crime. Tonight, we'll review the charts and cards with Amber from Taurus Moon Tarot to further analyze the home invasion of two young men in Sydney, Australia. Hi, guys. Good to see you. This was February 19th, 2024. We're going to see what clues we can identify in the crime chart. So thanks for hitting the like button, and please subscribe if you're interested in upcoming cases. Members get exclusive content, so you can also hit the join button for valedictorian benefits. So I hope you can also join me and Empress Black Tarot, and we're going to be talking about the Shanquella Robinson case. And let me just flip to that one. She's got a new take on it, and I'm interested. I'm very intrigued. So we're going to take a look at that, and that's going to be on Tuesday. Members, if you want to make sure to tune in this weekend, you're going to get some more content. This time, Ted Bundy and his kill calendar for 1978, where we can actually go into his soul return chart and see the actual months that he would be inclined to kill. So it's crazy. It's such a strange thing that you can make predictions like that. So, okay. So we're going to talk about this in a second, but if you've been paying attention, you'll notice this channel provided an eerie forecast in January that predicted that an upcoming case would have similarities to the infamous Bling Ring, a group of obsessed celebrity stalkers, coincidentally led by a gay man, who tracked their victims using the internet and stole items of high worth. Millions from Paris Hilton and thousands of dollars of watches, and very priceless, really, I don't know if it's thousands, but it was a priceless watch collection from Orlando Bloom. He was able to recover half of it. The clues that we spotted in January were a stellium, or group of planets, that we saw approaching Aquarius, which represents a break-in or a burglary. And it also shows internet stalking, or simply using the internet, Uranus, to assist with the crime. So I'm going to get to that in a little bit, but there are some weird similarities when we were talking about break-ins, home invasion, celebrities, stalking on the internet. So that kind of theme we were seeing in this crime chart. So here's what happened according to reports. Popular TV presenter Jesse Baird, 26, and Luke Davies, 29, had been missing for more than a week when their bodies were found in Bungonia, a small town about 115 miles southwest of Sydney. And that was on February 19th. All right. So celebrity blogger and ex-cop Beau Lamarre-Condon was charged with 2 counts of murder, according to information provided by the local police, of New South Wales. He was being held, and at the time of the writing or the report, and will next appear in court on April 23rd. All right, so police have revealed there's evidence of Lamarre-Condon's behavior towards Baird, one of the victims, escalating in the weeks leading up to the alleged murder, and believe that Condon broke into Baird's house, keying his car, and poured water into his car's engine. It is alleged that numerous items were stolen the day of the murders, including the victim's expensive watch. So police said a projectile, presumably from a weapon found in Baird's Paddington home, was ballistically matched to a New South Wales police firearm. A white van had been found that the authorities believe had been used to transport the bodies of the victims. They were found in a wooded area behind a pile of dirt. So the last post on Instagram by former Channel 10 presenter Jesse Baird on February 18th was of him and his boyfriend, Qantas flight attendant Luke Davis, and they were enjoying a Pink concert days earlier. So then a day later, celebrity blogger turned NSW Senior Constable Beau Lamarre-Condon shot the couple at their home, or at Baird's home. So it would take police almost a week to trace their bodies after Lamarre-Condon finally told the police where he disposed of them. So we're going to look at this chart, and then we're going to bring Amber in and talk tarot for a little bit and astrology. And so I've got the victims up here. And what we want to do is, when we're first looking at a crime chart, we are going to just take a look at what we've got for a profile of the victims. Now, what I did, and this is something that I don't normally do, but I like to take a look at the cusps. When we are looking at 9:30, 9:45 in the morning, which is when this home invasion occurred, it's at 5 degrees Aries. So these are just a few degrees. And minutes before, the ascendant, which rules the victim, was in Pisces. I just felt like looking at that. So this is at 9 o'clock. This is when things, right before perhaps the intruder pulled up to the home. So we're going to look at the victims, and the victims would be seen as gay men. So that would be Pisces, and Neptune right on the ascendant would represent homosexuality. And it basically shows what's interesting about part of fortune here. It shows that they are successful, or that the victim who lives there is a successful person. He's known in the area, and has a beautiful home, I'm sure. 4th house, which is home. Okay. So what's really interesting is we go to Neptune, and then also, hang on one second. Okay. We are looking at the victim's, basically his boyfriend. And so we're going to look to 7. And it's right at the end of the 7th house, right at the end of Virgo there. So we're going to look at Mercury, and Mercury is in Aquarius. So while we talk during this hour, you're going to get a lot of Aquarius themes. And so, of course, what is his boyfriend? His boyfriend is a flight attendant. So you're going to get a lot of themes like that. So 22 would be to be killed. And apparently his boyfriend was killed by accident. It was kind of a surprise that he showed up, from what police are saying. So there's kind of a really quick look at what the victim would be described as with Neptune. And also, when it's aspecting Gemini, we're talking about a group of gay men. We're talking about, a victim and his boyfriend. We're talking about his ex, and that would also be Aquarius. So interesting that you could get the partner as well as the ex from the 7th house. So we've got Aquarius showing ex, showing a flight attendant, showing, a person with bright blue eyes, which is what Jesse had. Okay. So now, before we get to the next one, which is going to be the hidden enemy, and you guys probably know what I'm going to say with that one. So I'm going to ask you what or who the hidden enemy is, and give a profile of it while we talk to Amber. Hey, Amber, what's happening? Oh, let's see. I got to unmute you there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yay!
There you are.
I have a voice. Thanks for having me again. Hi, everybody.
Yes,
Good evening.
We got everybody in here, and we're talking about Jesse and Luke, and it is such a tough case. And you had suggested looking at this case, so I appreciate that, and any kind of insight you
Yeah.
have when it comes to tarot or astrology. So, what do you think we should do first?
Well, I'm fascinated watching the chart so far, and it's super sad. As you know, I always prepare and I do a little bit of a pre-reading, and of course, I have a new deck, as I always do. If it's a new
Oh,
week, I
great.
have a new deck, and it's it's multiple decks within one called Numinous. And I love it because it's actually sort of tied to the charts. There's a deck for the planets, a deck for the
Okay,
signs, a deck for the houses, and a deck for
great.
the aspects. So,
Okay.
sort of in advance of the reading, I pulled those cards, and I have
Mhm.
Venus squares North Node in Libra in reverse. It just happened to be with relationships, which I just like could not believe, and in the
Yeah.
first house of self. So I thought, I'm on the right track. This is going to be a really eye-opening reading, I think, and the chart will give us some clues. So
Yeah,
certainly
I
it's a
think so.
relationship-driven Venus sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a lot of Pluto as well, just
Hmm.
obsession,
Hmm.
jealousy. There's a
Yeah.
Pluto and Scorpio types of energy, and
Yeah.
I'm also going to have everyone look at. We're going to kind of try at least to get some insight with the alleged killer's birth chart. So I'm going to look at that a little bit later
Mm-hmm.
on.
Yeah.
So I guess should we do maybe a quick card pull on something that you think we
Sure.
should ask? And we can ask
Well,
the
I
others.
did pull for Jesse. I think that Jesse was predominantly the target, if you will, in
Mhm.
this crime. I think he was the target, and the cards that came for him was very telling. The Two of Cups, which is a relationship, a dating sort of relationship, with the
Ah,
Five of Wands, which is competition and difficulty and arguments and challenge. And the
yeah,
Six of Pentacles in reverse can be about not giving what someone else is giving. It's sort of an imbalance in the give and take, which I thought was interesting with the Two of Cups and then this Five of Wands. Um, for Luke, I the cards that came out, the Magician, Temperance, and the Page of Pentacles in reverse, it sort of gave me this energy of almost a bystander, almost. And I didn't know that you just mentioned he was sort of there by accident, which is precisely what came out when I pulled cards for Luke, that he was just sort of there. It really wasn't intended for him to be there, which
yeah,
made it sort of
exactly.
difficult. But um,
So
yeah,
tragic.
I think the motive definitely is a Pluto kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do now is
Yeah.
I'm just going to add 1 second. All right. Hopefully you can hear this.
TV presenter Jesse Baird and his boyfriend Luke Davies have been found dead. Their bodies have been discovered in 2 surf bags at a rural property over 100 miles from Sydney where they were last seen. Beau Lamarre-Condon, a police officer and Jesse's ex-partner, was charged with their murders on Friday. He allegedly shot them both in Jesse's home last week and hired a white van to dispose of them. Police said Beau provided them with information that led them to their bodies.
Okay. What a handsome couple. I mean, it's just I'm
It's
sure it
so
was just
tragic.
shocking. Oops. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just I'm going to share this one too. Um, okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Ominous title alleged killer cop Beau Lamarre-Condon was given years before he was accused of murdering Channel 10. And basically they're saying he was given this title, the most likely to become famous in high school. So he had a history of being
Wow.
obsessed with celebrities by his final school years. And a yearbook photo featured the future cop holding a picture of himself with Taylor Swift. Then, he meets Lady Gaga in a concert, comes out as gay through a note he threw on stage to the singer, which she read out, revealing his sexuality to her 15,000 strong audience. The note, which read, "Gaga, you're not just my idol, but literally my savior," was his way of thanking the singer for giving him the courage to tell his parents he was gay. He was taken backstage to meet her after the show and later said in a radio interview that she came out for me. Okay, so then, he chased that high for years, the friend said, becoming obsessed with celebrities and the fame that came with being pictured or videoed with them. So he became a high-flying celebrity blogger who interviewed Hollywood heavyweights on the Golden Globes red carpet, posting selfies with the likes of Selena Gomez and then a bunch of other celebrities. So even long after becoming a cop, following in his mother's footsteps, he was still obsessed with celebrities and was spotted following Kourtney Kardashian behind the wheel of a gray Tesla. So he's kind of like celebrity stalking. And so he was allegedly seen buying an angle grinder, padlock, and weights after the alleged killing. I mean, it doesn't look good for him. There's just a lot of evidence. There's him with his bag, and there were reports of his coworkers on the police force, saying, they saw he would show them his social media, and they were like, "What are you doing here? Why did you come here?" So I think that's a whole story in itself, because we're talking about a Scorpio type of energy here, and I don't know what his birthday is. He was born in 1995, but I'm going to guess there's some Scorpio energy there. So there's the victims.
Yeah.
And
you mentioned a lot of Aquarian energy. Aquarius,
so a lot of pictures of him posing on a private jet would be Aquarius, showing his Hermes bag. And so, he was out there, and then now there he is with, suddenly he's a cop. So quite intriguing when we're trying to create a profile of this person. So I'm going to take some of these comments here. Yes, musical Neptunian, Ellie in the chart, Shirley Saturn. So, hey, Ida Silva and Accidental Awakening is here. Astronaut Kim, good to see you. And Bruiser Bites and Lisa James. Okay, KK is here. Hi, KK. And I hope Marion's still with us. She was suffering from cold, so seemed pretty serious. I hope she's okay. Now, let's get back to the slide here. And so we're talking about the hidden enemy, which we would see from the timestamp of when the perpetrator pretty much started onto the property or was heading towards the house. And so the hidden enemy of the chart there's a profile there. It's a Neptune type of person, because Neptune rules the 12th house. And hang on one second. Okay. So not only would the victim be, gay, but so would the perpetrator or a hidden enemy in the chart. And you can see that there's a whole lot of stuff happening here. There's a T-square with the hidden enemy, which shows a big challenge. But there's also another profile here. We've got Neptune, and it is sextiling Pluto. I mean, this is a lot of people online. And it again reminds me of the chart for the Bling Ring, which we'll show in a second. But there's just there's a lot of interest online about this. You would see this from the chart. Pluto means many, many, many. Venus is tons of women and men because of Mars there. And also, it's interesting because the next chart I'm going to show you goes into Libra. So this is what the perpetrator turns into, Venus, which is right conjunct Pluto and Mars. So I'm going to tell you what that means in a second, unless some of you can guess. All right, so I'm going to look at the perp's mindset here. And what's interesting is that you can go to the third house from the seventh, which seventh is the perpetrator. And 1, 2, 3, what starts it off is Scorpio. So revenge, obsession, jealousy, basically being upset about something. It seems as if he was stalking Jesse in the weeks before. In fact, when Jesse went missing, his mom called and mentioned that there's a cop named Beau who wouldn't leave him alone. So it seems as if now, of course, they knew each other. I should say, of course, because it's been reported, and they were seen actually at a birthday party for a mutual friend of theirs. It was the 60th birthday party. A nice picture of them together. So it seems like that's where they either met or maybe they went there together. So there was some kind of contact and they knew each other. So you can see that could be the third, the third house of the seventh is what was going on in the mind. But also notice that the third house from the victim is in Algol territory. So that could mean any number of things, but it seems as if there is something that represents the devil. So, and it also represents wounds to the neck as well. So I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything from the coroner, or there's been no coroner report, I don't think. But I think that's significant there because the cusp is in Taurus. And the third house is what people are talking about during this crime. And so that it could show that people are talking about someone who had a devilish act. So it's really communication. And so amazing how there's so much Aquarius. You're going to see the perp, cruising in that jet, and a lot of things about the airlines and how Luke worked for the airlines. Then as well that there was a break-in. This was a home invasion. And interesting too, now this is something that we should also point out. The fourth house represents, like, whenever you've got a home invasion, you want to look at the fourth house. And it is in, as of 9 o'clock-ish, Mercury. So it's in Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini. And so that's going to give, it's in Aquarius, meaning a break-in. So a home break-in is how you'd have to see that in two different steps. But the energy is definitely in Aquarius, and it would be a deadly break-in with 22 degrees. Now we can see that there are other break-ins. There's like the Bling Ring was, they stole millions of dollars and nobody was murdered, but we didn't really see bad degrees. We saw 122 in one of the charts, which can mean dangerous, but we see a lot of 8 degrees and 18 here. And not to get upset if that's in your own chart, because it's a whole different thing. It can simply mean, a coworker is mean during a certain transit and you're having a hard time in a certain part of your life. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be, come to a bad ending or anything. But here we've got 18 degrees, we've got 8, we've got 22, 18 here, which is the devil degree. And when the nodes are at 18 degrees, it is significant. So I think what I want to know, Amber, I guess we'll do some cards here, is this bigger than what we think? Because it just seems like I feel like he could potentially have done this before. Is that a possibility?
Oh,
Usually
great
when Mercury
question.
is so yeah, when Mercury is so prominent, sometimes it means that there was an attempt before. We're talking about a brazen
Mm.
personality. So
Well, I will say that I did have the star card for the perpetrator. I didn't originally pull cards, but when you mentioned that, I did. And the star card is the Aquarian card in reverse, which is in sort of detriment. It's not a good thing. It's like something completely falling apart. It's like wishes are up in flames. I mean, it literally looks like up in flames. This card's beautiful. But I also have the Lovers in reverse, which is about a bad relationship gone wrong, and Justice in reverse. So for him, there's a lot in reverse with Libra, Aquarius, and the Lovers. So this might be a pattern of, like you said, sort of this maybe obsessive, maybe stalking. Maybe this is not the first instance, and that's the question we have. Is this something repeated? Two of Cups, relationship card. This is a pattern. This is a pattern.
wow. Could that be
Whoa.
a second?
It could be a Two of Cups and then the Chariot in reverse, which is a completely someone out of control in relationships, completely out of control. Just to show you that it's these two together. Yeah. Someone who's just cannot manage emotions, can't manage their temper. We'll get one more. Yes. It's someone who might have had, oh yeah, with the Magician on the bottom and the Five of Swords in reverse, there's conflict in their life in general, in relationships. There's conflict and manipulation with the Magician and the Five of Swords in reverse. This tells me this is a repeated pattern. This is not
Wow.
something new. This is a history of that kind of thing. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, yeah, I have a feeling we're going to see some things. When you've got that scorpionic energy, it is, and we're seeing it with the Koberger and Idaho 4 case,
Mm,
that things were taken. So it's like there is, when you have this conflicted energy or this intense Scorpio energy, you think that everything else is supposed to be yours.
yeah.
And that
Yeah.
also is it's narcissistic too, which is that Neptune so
Mhm.
strong in that chart. So
Yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
some narcissistic behavior. Okay,
Mhm.
so let me go back to
Yeah.
this and okay. So the perp's success at this point, this is around the time where there's a gunshot and Mars is here. It's conjunct Pluto. And this is it. I mean, this is a shock because it's in Aquarius. It's something surprising, but it is pretty big because of Mars and Pluto. That is an extraordinary amount of energy in Aquarius and often means a gunshot. So that is, you can see opposing part of fortune here. And it's interesting when you're looking at this and you're like, well, what is success? Because he wanted to go and kill someone, so he was successful doing that. But this is really the overall success of the chart, and you can see that Venus, which is the 7th house ruler, is up here. This is I can never remember his name, Beau Lamarre-Condon, and he's opposing part of fortune. Now, this is in Leo. So this could be, trying to set fire to something. It could mean bullying, trying to basically, hear me roar type of thing. But you can also see that this is the T square. This is incredibly strong, which is like the T square is basically a no. And So this is in the second house too. Interesting about that. It's almost like he wanted to take something else. Maybe he couldn't. Something that was an asset of some sort. And so this is really intense because Venus is right next to Pluto. So this is a person who's absolutely obsessed out of his mind. And in my opinion, and because of that opposition to part of fortune, which means success, means he will not be successful. Also, Mars represents the police. So they're right on him. And what's so interesting too is when you have conjunct planets, it usually means the group knows each other. So you have Mars, and this is the time for 9:30 a.m. on the morning of the home invasion. And Mars is here, and Venus is right next to Mars, conjunct Mars. So that means that the victim and the perpetrator know each other. But you can also say that Mars is the police force, and the perpetrator knows the police basically who are investigating him. So that's what makes it just kind of it's it's definitely a story that is tabloid friendly, that's for sure. Okay. Uh, when we want to identify the problem, we are going to look at a square. That's basically what it is.
Mm.
Where is the square? And so you can see that the hidden enemy here, we can use the hidden enemy. We can also use the seventh house lord, but there's a square here to the moon. And this is somebody walking up to the home. The third house is the yard. And so it was a total shock that this person walked up. And this is a second person. Gemini is 2. And it also shows 2 or more. So this basically is the person is attacking these people. And you're also going to see reports about the roommate. So there would be a roommate who's completely shocked because, and it's a good thing they weren't there. They definitely, I I don't want to say dodged a bullet, but they definitely sidestepped tragedy. Now, so that's what you want to look at. You want to see that hidden enemy and what the problem is. Well, the problem is there was somebody outside that he was not expecting, which was the boyfriend. Okay. Now, the vehicle, you can see that there were a group of vehicles. The third house is going to show you um, what the vehicle, what the vehicle was all about, uh, the description, etc. So we're going to look at the third house itself. There were actually a group of vehicles. You could even look to the third house lord from the perp in Scorpio. That is somebody else's car. That is a rental car. So he used a rental car. And the only thing that doesn't make sense in this chart to me, because usually um you see Jupiter. This this might be okay right here, but usually there's a much more strong connection with the vehicle and Jupiter, because this was an SUV. It was a white SUV. Here it is, the moon is white or silver. And in Gemini, that's a white car. Also, there were multiple cars that he used and he was able to use. And you can see how there's a trine to Mercury, which is 2 or more. And where did he get these cars? He ordered them online and went and got them. So
At an
we're having
airport.
at an airport. Yes.
He
Yes.
picked it up at an airport.
There you go. Oh my God. And the 11th house, all of this is being documented on social media. And also, it's interesting. I don't have an answer for this, but this is the 5th house from the perp. So something about his family. I think there's going to be a lot about his family that's online. Now, his sister had a really tough time with the police, and it's been, you feel for her. She was nursing her child. She was on the police force, and she got fired because she wouldn't get the vaccine at the time of, all of that stuff during COVID. And so she didn't have any income after that. And she tried to sue them and I believe lost. So both of them and the mother, there's a lot of Scorpio and Aries energy because of the police and really not being that successful um, in different capacities, I guess you could say. Yeah. So now there were a few witnesses, and they're also going to be speaking out or being reported about in social media as well. So just kind of crazy. There's this witness here, Mercury, you can see, and this was reported just recently. There's a square to Uranus. And this is, basically a witness that's shocked because what happened was there are several witnesses that were shocked, but one was the roommate and saw the basically the bodies were in these surf bags and there was some blood coming off of the surf bags. And I mean, basically this person couldn't even fathom that it was blood, so thought it was some kind of juice that was on it, like beet juice or something. So she just thought it was completely out of the realm, in her mindset that could be anything nefarious. So anyway, finding out that that was her roommate, I'm sure was a complete shock. Now, here's another thing too. Here's the victim, and what we're seeing and reading about with the victim with Neptune, that's plastic. So the bodies, I believe, his body was put in plastic and hidden in the 12th house would be to hide. With the squaring here, Neptune, it's not going to work for him. It's not going to work out. And also, he didn't have a second bag. So that was one of the things that they caught on CCTV was him buying a second body or surfboard bag so that he could put, the second victim or place the second victim in those bags. And keep in mind, too, we're talking about somebody who didn't think anybody else was home. I guess, he had never been in that home or wasn't expecting anything because I think one of the roommates walked in and saw a cleaning crew in there. There was blood. And so they called they called the police and they got in there before all the cleaning was done. And that's where they found the ballistic evidence. So, let's see, they found that in the home. Mars is going to be, the gun, a bullet, and Aquarius is evidence. So there's a lot. Let's just say that there is a lot. And Mercury ruling, we've got whether it's Mercury with the 9 o'clock time or it's moving into Cancer, then that moves the Lord to Moon. And so it's interesting how there's a change suddenly. It goes from, okay, let me think about this here. So the house ruler is for the home is Mercury. And the whole point was that 22 degrees to kill. Then the 4th house moves to Cancer and the moon rules the house. And that's when the square activates. Like, oh crap, this is an extra person that's coming in. So that's within minutes. It's just terrible timing. Okay. Quickly, the Bling Ring. This is God. I don't remember what date it was, but it is when there was a break in a celebrity, and she was one of a few victims, including Paris Hilton and Orlando Bloom, that were hit. And so I just wanted to show you how much Aquarius was there, and they were all stalked online. It was early on in basically the internet era. And so people were able to see where they lived, and they took advantage of that. So internet stalking was really big then. And also you see Mercury too, which is, breaking in. It's a break in. Mercury is the thief. So you can see that. And with Orlando Bloom, it's a little bit different, but you're still seeing Gemini, seeing a lot of Aquarius. Oops. Can you see that? Yeah. You're seeing a lot of Aquarius here, all at 25 degrees when they robbed him. And I didn't know what the time was for that though. So we'll just have to look at this for now. But North Node in Aquarius, just it enhances everything. And seventh house of the perpetrator is Scorpio. So somebody who just wants something of someone else's. Now, Mercury in Cancer is in this mini grand trine here. So we've got the thief, which is Mercury or Gemini. And then it's really a famous internet case. And it's in a home. So they're able to use, it's not so easy to see here because I don't think I have the houses right, but you can at least see that there's some loot that they got, that's for sure. And if Venus was Orlando Bloom with the sextile to Moon, you can see that he was famous. And Mercury is, basically stealing things. A lot of Cancer here, which is a lot of famous people. In this crime chart, it's going to be a lot of famous people, but they're not going to be targeted. They're going to be part of the theme. Okay, so what I wanted to do is, I guess we should pull a card, and then I want to go over to the potential birth chart. I think I've got something close of the perpetrator.
Mhm.
And I guess, should we ask what's next for the case?
Yeah, I will say this. I want to add one little thing here about the perpetrator. I think that this was an impulsive moment. Like you talked a lot about Uranus and the shock and surprise. And I think this was very unplanned and impulsive. There's a lot of impulsivity, not a lot of control.
Okay.
So yeah, we could see what is next. And I have had the worst headache all day. I don't know why. I don't ever have headaches. I should knock on wood or something because I'm not a headache person, but my head has been pounding all day.
It's been a weird week for me, for allergies, sinuses. So
Yeah.
I've had
Well,
the
it's
same.
raining today, but it's
Okay.
very unusual.
That could be, the front or, the energy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I feel like eight of wands in the reverse and the 10 of swords, it will be closed or resolved, I should say. I know that someone is in custody. I don't think it's going to be quick. It will be resolved, but it won't be quick. And I think they might actually have sort of a pullback of information that's out in the public. With the 8 of wands in reverse, I would say that's sort of a stop with information flowing out to other people, other, there's not going to be press conferences every week. I think it's going to be very quiet, but it will have resolution. It just may not be public.
Okay.
You might actually see the perpetrator, the accused's mother. It's in the public eye. She might actually make a statement or put something out and it's nothing else is being said, but she has this voice that she wants to say something about it when there's not much else going on. Yeah.
Okay.
And that actually could be, what is today's date? It could be before Pisces season is over.
Okay.
I think between now and the end of Pisces season, there might be a little bit more information in the press, but then thereafter, I think it goes very quiet, maybe with the exception of the perpetrator's mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me pull the potential birth chart. All right. And I think this is kind of interesting. Hold on one second. Okay. So we're going to pull the birth chart. I am going to say, November. And it was 95 that he was born. And I believe it was near Sydney. Let's see here. What do we have? Let's see if I can get us a little smaller here. Okay. So in 95, if he was born in November, it makes sense because at this time, Saturn is at 18 degrees and Saturn represents a father. And it has been widely reported that he didn't have much of a relationship with his father. His father disappeared. And so that can be the case when Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces means to disappear or to vanish. It might be, later on in your life. It doesn't necessarily need to be, when you're very young, but it's kind of like dad pulls a disappearing act. There's also a trine to 18 degrees, which 18 degrees of sun in Scorpio at this time. So we're looking at a lot of 18 degrees with Scorpio. And I would say this might be a good time. Hopefully we can find out what time his birthday actually is. But it makes sense that look at all of that Sag, that all of the planets that are in Sag, that's Hollywood, that's celebrities. And so that was going to be prominent in his life. And then also, I don't know if it's the 8th house or not, but you've got the moon in Cancer, which shows that he would probably become very famous, just like he wanted when he was in high school. And this is a generational conjunction, but Uranus is broken and Neptune is dreams, broken dreams. So this can, if poorly aspected, and it's aspected to the 18th degree of Scorpio, this might be, broken dreams because of murder, a vicious murder. So he would have, if he was born in November 1995, he would have 3 planets at 18 degrees: Saturn, Jupiter, and the Sun. That's pretty intense. That's, devilish energy. And if this was correct, His sister would be Saturn, and it would square Mars, which would show police. Jupiter is a lot of police. That's the police force. In Sagittarius would square off with them in court. So I think this is kind of close. And it makes me also think of Koberger too, because Koberger was born 1 year before. And it just, let's see, I think that was, what was it, Pennsylvania? Can't remember.
Somewhere in the Poconos.
Yeah, I don't think I can put Poconos, can I?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the town.
Albertsville or something. Albertson.
That sounds
Albertson. No. Let me just look it up. Koberger. Birth location. Albrightsville. Okay. Pennsylvania. Okay. And so, that's him a year before. So you're looking at, in that case, Mars is squaring all of those planets in Scorpio. So not to say like, people who are skeptical would say, yeah, but not everybody, was a murderer. But because of the degrees and because of the changing ascendant, it means that some people might just have a hard time with jealousy or a hard time with certain obsessions. They might not kill, but it does seem like the 94 people, 95, and isn't it interesting that Koberger's a year before, and I'm not trying to draw them together because it's a completely different kind of case, even though it is a home break-in and it's murder. But we've got Koberger allegedly doing this crime in 2021. No. 2022. And about maybe a year and change later, he commits murder. So it's weird how it's kind of like they
a
might
step behind.
What's that?
A step behind. Just
a step behind, a step ahead, whatever. But
Yeah.
they're kind of moving in the same direction. You just wonder, okay, so who was born in 93, who's doing something. But that Scorpio is just it's that murder energy that you've got to take control, and you just can't. He was so obsessed. Now, here's another thing too that comes back to the chart, and that is, remember, on the ascendant there, you've got, you can't see that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you should be able to see it. Okay, there we go. People are talking now about the hidden enemy and mental health. So mental health is coming out with this. And I think that's going to be part of the defense anyway. But Neptune would be the mental health. So that would really give a profile of not just the hidden enemy, whoever that was, which allegedly was Baird, but maybe somebody. Now in the 12th house, when you're seeing planets behind the victim, they're behind you. They're coming. And so this person with a mental health problem, emotional issues, that square with the moon there, this person would be creeping up behind him, and there would be wounds here. So wounds and a lot of blood. And what's interesting is if you got really sophisticated, you could say, okay, so here's the blood, but what's connecting to it? Well, you can see this sextile to the Lord of the home, which is the fourth. So you would see that that's where the blood would be.
Yeah.
And weird that it would be urine, or it would be Aquarius, which shows, I mean, it shows the roof, it shows the attic, it shows the upstairs. So I don't even know if he had stairs, if it was a one level or not, but it shows, and I mean, it's an air sign. So
Yeah.
interesting what that might show.
Mhm.
Um, and let's see. Yeah, the sixth house represents stalkers, and there's Black Moon Lilith, which would give us more of a profile of what the stalker was like. 15 degrees is the assassination degree, and it's trining the second house, and that's somebody's belongings. And what's really weird is that second house, 9 o'clock. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. Second house is Venus here. And that shows something that that's got a lot of value, something about online valuables somehow that maybe he's trying to get to. And that might be something for us to pull. Was there something aside from obsession and the relationship and rejection? Does this have to do with something that we might not know that has to do with a burglary or taking somebody's possessions? How about
Like
that?
intuitively, I almost feel like it has to do with the possession is the person, and
Okay.
the other, Luke was there maybe because of what I pulled with Venus square North Node in the first house, which is, the North Node is there in the first house, but with Libra in reverse, it's like you took my relationship. That is my possession. That is not your possession. That is my possession. But we could see if there's something like maybe something taken in addition.
Yeah, it just seems like something with online valuables. So much online. Now, keeping in mind that even the day before the murders, the victims were posting how they were happy together. They were, sharing time and going to concerts and all of this. So that, I'm sure, kicked off something, that intense anger. But why am I seeing online valuables? I don't understand that.
Well, I have lots of pentacles coming up for that, which is actually money, lots of it.
Mhm.
Three of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles in reverse, the Six of Pentacles in the upright. There might have been a joint or shared, I don't want to say investment because I think that's too big of a word. Something that could have been financially sort of messy or conjoined that involved more than one person.
Okay.
Oh, that came up before the Hanged Man. That's Pisces. Yeah. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. It could also be interpreted as a loan, not unpaid loan. Like I gave you X money and you've not returned it, or slow to return it.
Interesting.
I don't know about
I'm trying to
loans,
think.
but
Yeah, I was thinking that, could it be, I told you about that, you know, sailboat, and now you're sailing on it, not with me. But it doesn't make sense in that sense, I don't think, because it's so Aquarius related. That's more like online stuff or Bitcoin
yeah.
or that kind of stuff. So interesting. So
It seems
possibility
like
then.
tangible, but something that's interwoven with something financial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Tech oneself. Nice to see you. Thanks for checking in. And well, great. Well, thank you so much, Amber. This has been really interesting. I'm so glad you
Yeah.
suggested it. And
Yeah.
we will be meeting again in the coming days, and we'll be talking about a missing person. So so I'm looking forward to that. And
Yeah.
everyone, you can check out the community tab for announcements. And also, if you're interested in a reading with Amber, I'm going to have all the information below in the description box. Just make sure in the subject line to say reading, and you can email Amber directly. And you can always go to my website to get a any type of reading that you want astrologically. So solar return, progressions, or the birth chart reading, you can get them all. All right. So thanks again, Amber, and we will talk to you soon.
Have a great night. Thank
All right.
you.